Okay guys, not gonna lie here, I have already opened this box and looked at the stuff, but you've seen 100 unboxing, so I'll just go through it anyway for those that haven't seen the bits. It was well packaged, there was covers in this, as most people do realise. The case isn't great, you know, your USB's just flapping around and then it's going to damage it. I have, on the other hand, purchased this other case here, which has a nice wee flap. I got it off Amazon. I'll add it to the comment section. Has a nice wee pouch in here. This also goes really well with, I got the hub. So the hub can fit nicely in like that, as can this. You'll also notice on this that I've already installed the eye, which is here. Looks quite good actually, you can't really see it there. And I've got a selfie somewhere that I'll put up in a minute. So this is the XREAL glasses. Now, the XREAL 1 Pros. Sounds Bose. These glasses here, I'm actually using the Ray-Ban Metas for the first time to do anything useful in. On the whole, they're pretty chunky. Like, honestly, they're a bit chunky and they're a bit flat. Honest opinion on aesthetics, 2 out of 10. Like, really, they're not aesthetically pleasing. Talking to some people in work, they absolutely would walk down the street in them. I'm not sure I would yet, but we'll see. Lenses are electrochromatic, brilliant, out of this world. 3 settings, transparent, and then you different levels of transparency. To dark, they do really knock out the light. I've used these outside on a sunny day, and it was actually really, really good. I've also used them where I've looked at watch TV or have a monitor. Nose pads are there. You'll have seen these now. I haven't got anything really done with these yet, but we do have additional nose bits and the inserts. I'm going to probably get a prescription put on these. I am slightly short-sighted, so I might get them put on just for the heck of it, if it's not too dear, but if it's a lot of money, I won't bother. There is a demo coming up here. We'll show you them sort of how you're able to watch TV with the missus, and I've been able to enjoy TV while she's been enjoying TV, and it's been 2 totally different things.
Yeah, shout on your own back, then talk about us. Yeah. So true. It's on you. We don't know.
I haven't used the eye much yet for recording. I did give it a very brief go. Well, that, I suppose the only other thing so far that I've noticed with the eye is once you install the eye, it takes over this top button, and that becomes take picture and record with long press, whereas I had it for dimming and full transparency. But that's not actually a big deal, because what I find is if you hold the back of these down, the back of the rocker switch here down, that does transparency mode. That lets you go to the transparency menu, and it will set your transparency for you. So that kind of takes over what I was doing from up here anyway. So the only thing I lose really is the full transparency. Now, my phone's a Pixel 7. It does not support DisplayPort over USB. However, in a strange twist / bit of fortune, my phone contract has ended. So I have ordered, and it should be here in the next day or so, a Samsung S24, which I believe is the old flagship model that is supported by the SDK for these. So I think I could do some partial stuff with that, and potentially see if there's some cool stuff. 'Cause I kind of dream that these could be that thing where, you know, you're looking at something through this, it renders in the phone, there's some sort, it connects maybe to one of the LLMs or one of the maybe OpenAPI or something like that, OpenAI or something like that. But it could do like object recognition, or Frigate actually might be a good one on a local home port. Frigate in VR, it could do some model recognition off using a USB Coral. So I think you could do some pretty cool stuff. The other thing that actually is pretty cool about this is for a travel setup. If you got like the Raspberry Pi 500, the keyboard, and you plug these in, there's your monitor, there's your keyboard. The only thing you need is a mouse. So if a Raspberry Pi 500 was sufficient for whatever it is you do, coding, maybe gaming or whatever, you know, if you're playing maybe some of the retro machines, They work brilliant. One of the other things actually where these here come in brilliant is GeForce Now. If you use GeForce Now, you need a Bluetooth Xbox controller. You need your laptop. You plug this in. Like, these are brilliant for travel. Like, you just sit and play on that. Same with remote Xbox or Xbox Remote. You could use them off your work laptop and again be gaming away while traveling. Like, honestly, I think as any for any business person that travels, these are worth every penny. They're weight in gold. So would I recommend them? 100%, yeah. So I've been using these since Monday, so I've had them just less than a week. The Eye only arrived on Friday, so I haven't had much time to play with it. My daily driver is Linux for home. I use a XPS 13-inch with 4K screen. For work, I typically use my Mac, which is coupled to my big 34-inch ultra-wide, and then for gaming I do have a Windows PC. I've not used them with that yet. Experiences with the Mac for coding, brilliant. The Linux laptop, I was lying in bed the other night, I was staring at the ceiling, horizontal. The Mac was on my lap, my hands were straight down. I was able to, the laptop, I was able to type away. I then woke up 2 hours later. I'd fallen asleep wearing them. Glad I didn't roll because they're expensive to break. From a work perspective, brilliant. Like, really, people talk about small, bit of blur at the edge. It is there, it is tiny, it is noticeable, but it's not horrendous. Now obviously these are the One Pros, I believe they're 57 degrees, whereas the ones were 50 degrees, so maybe that extra 7 degrees is making a huge difference to me. I don't know, I haven't seen the other ones, so I can't really speak to them. Using my monitor, I typically have a monitor down here. I anchor up here, and then I'm able to look up and look down. I have them go on auto transparent. I think auto transparent mode is well worth it. When you lower your eyes down, or when you lower your head down, they go fully transparent. It's still a bit dark, so you do need to make sure your other screens are quite bright, but it works really well. I've also found lying in bed, I was able to work the other night watching a movie, and I was able to kind of put the screens behind each other. So these screens here sat up and to the right of my TV, and I was able to kind of watch the TV when these were on the lowest dimming and lowest brightness. But when I focused my eyes, it was almost like the ghosting you get through reflections if a TV's near a bright window where you can sort of see outside, and if you really focus you can suddenly not see the TV but only see outside, and vice versa. So I found I was able to do that and work actually quite effectively, jumping between the movie and writing some code. For coding they're great. 1080p, okay, it's not 4K, that kind of does suck, not gonna lie. I would love bigger resolution, more things on screen. I do, like on my ultra wide, I do I do use the ultra wide, and I divvy it up into multiple screens, you know, up into 4 quadrants nearly at times. By the time I put terminals up, an IDE up, a web browser up, and jump between them. So like, I really do love my ultra wide real estate. The ultra wide in these feels a bit naff. It doesn't really work with my Linux machine. If I'm truthful, it just feels zoomed. It doesn't really feel ultra wide so much as it just feels zoomed. So I have the setting typically about 154 inches or whatever the setting is on that, set to about 4 meters. That for me is a really good distance for everything. It's a really good size of real estate. If I'm watching a movie, I might go up a wee bit, maybe 172 at that distance, just to get a wee bit closer. But for me looking at an IDE and a web browser, you know, I kind of prefer that wee bit of extra distance. Yeah, like honestly, when I say these are people talk about game changers, I hate the phrase. It's so overused. These are life changing though. Like honestly, if you travel for work, why wouldn't you? Turn your monitor off, switch to these here, total privacy, total sound. You know, sitting on an airplane, wearing these. Sitting on the train, wearing these. Honestly, I have found them amazing for that. Even sitting outside, my daughter was playing in the paddling pool. I was able to sit I had these, I was working away. She was still in vision because of the transparency, and I was able to work comfortably. Like, honestly, they're so good. I kind of laugh a wee bit because obviously Google Glass came out 10 years ago or something, and that didn't really go anywhere, and then they died, and then these things come along. Like, I feel like Google Glass was just too early in the timelines. These are brilliant. If I had to pick a couple of gripes on them, and like, this is a wee bit nitpicking, they've no battery in them, so you need the connectivity here via USB-C. That's fine. I use them as a secondary monitor / primary monitor, so yeah, fine. However, having Bluetooth and a battery so I could just use the audio for calls and stuff like that would be nice. That's the only other bit that don't really work well for, is like, they do work for video calls. You look a bit odd, not gonna lie. I tried it with one with a bunch of colleagues. I think I looked a bit like a muppet. I think if I was to do it, there's no real way you can't. Truthfully, you just look stupid. They're dark glasses and they're aesthetically unpleasing. But again, like, if that's your use case, then maybe not the right thing. Like the Ray-Ban, I have the Ray-Ban Metas, or the Meta Ray-Bans, whatever you want to call them. They're a bit naff. They're actually quite good for this because I'm wearing them right now while I talk to you. And they're pretty good for the video calls because obviously they're fully transparent. They just look like normal glasses, and they are aesthetically pleasing, unlike these. Usability for coding, probably about an 8 or a 9 out of 10. Like, really, they're really, really good. I'm loving them, frankly. Like, they're rarely off my face. I think the missus is getting a bit annoyed at me about them, but they are just so good. I haven't tried hooking up to a games console or anything yet, other than the Steam Deck, but they work well for that. What I did find though was with the Steam Deck, if it drops below about 50% charge, these cut out. I believe it's to do with the Steam Deck and it's whatever way it delivers power, but it seems to cut out if it's below 50% thing. So you do need the hub for that. The one thing I haven't tried that's on my to try list, and I'll see if I can work out how to record it if I do it, is I think the USB-C with the hub is obviously the video out, but if I've got an HDMI to USB-C which uses USB, which has a USB power injector. I got it for using another monitor that doesn't that needs the HDMI. But what I was thinking was if I plugged not a Chromecast, a Fire TV HDMI out using an HDMI coupler, female to female, into my so hold on. So you have the Fire Stick HDMI to the coupler, and then from that to these guys via another HDMI cable, and then a small powered hub which would then provide the power to the Fire TV and also to the HDMI cable to these. That would give me a portable setup for traveling. And I would have like a full Fire TV experience on the glasses. Still tended to be, but actually I think that would work quite well. And I don't see why it wouldn't work. So if anyone wants to see that, comment, say so, we'll give it a whirl. Like Devil Hates a Card and all that.
Yeah, that's my review. I hope that was useful to you. If anyone has any comments or thoughts or anything demoed, just reply in the comments. I'll put links to the hub. You can get it off Amazon at the same price as it is direct from my XREAL, so probably just easy to buy from them. And thanks for watching. Subscribe and like.